and she didn't want anyone else to find themselves with the doubts she held and the struggles she faced. And I just wanted my kids to know someone who could make them feel so special. And it wasn't until... Hi, and welcome back to the Dadless Dad. I'm Matt, and this is the first episode. This is how losing my mom actually made me a better dad, and the 5 painful lessons that I learned, hopefully making your struggle less painful if you have lost a parent. The very first lesson on the list is shut up and listen. This sounds weird, but the reality was when I lost my mom, one of the things I struggled with the most was trying to find a place to be able to grieve, to find a place where I could express and get off my chest the things that were congesting my heart. It wasn't that people wouldn't go ahead and make space. It was that most of the time people, when they did make space, they made space and it was, I'm sorry for your loss, but I always noticed their eyes looking for the exit. I could always tell that they really wanted out of the conversation, even though they wanted to give the condolence. And over the years, what I began to realize, a lot of times the reason people want out of these conversations, it's not because you're struggling. It's because they feel the pressure to alleviate that pain. They feel the need to make the moment softer, that they almost as though you expect them to have an answer if you're comforting somebody going through grief. And after going through this experience, I began to realize I was never looking for that. I was looking for a place that I could mourn the loss of my mom without the guilt and shame and condemnation of knowing I was dragging the atmosphere down because it was a sad subject. After this, and this is where it became crystal clear to me, I became someone who, anytime somebody said they lost somebody, I would work to create space. I would just say, listen, I don't know you that well, but I lost my mom at 23, and one of the hardest things I experienced was this. And so as a result of that, one of the things I do is I always work to create space, because sometimes you just need to talk. And it's funny, where I used to speed up, in uncomfortability, now I have a tendency to slow down. And this has actually worked out wonderful in my parenting. When most people find themselves under pressure, they want to get through it as quick as possible. But I find myself often, even with my children, lingering in moments that might be uncomfortable, because what I'm actually trying to do is give them space to be heard. Because until their head is empty of the struggles they're dealing with, they probably can't receive the advice I'm looking to go ahead and offer that may be the thing they need to transform their hearts. So that's the first lesson. Shut up and listen. Okay, the second one. This was a tough one. No takebacks. Oh, this one is a painful one. Still to this day, because I have a new lens now that I have children of my own. But when I was younger, when I was in roughly the 6th grade, I had won something like the Student of the Month. And my mom came to meet me at my school, but I was ashamed. And there was a number of reasons, but they're all irrelevant because it was my issue. And when she was there to support me, I actually shunned her. I didn't sit with her. I sat away from her. I later on apologized to her. It was just immaturity. But it wasn't until my kids got to the age where they're in school that I realized how much that would wound my heart if my children were to do that to me. And when I began to see that, my heart mourned because my mom had already passed and I couldn't go back and change. And now that I had been given the new framework, the new lens to see what happened and what I did, and understood the weight through the context of experience, I realized how much I must have hurt my mom in that moment. And the challenge in that is there's no way for me to clean it up because she's gone. Ultimately, my faith and the knowledge of knowing that my mom knew I loved her was what helped me get through that. But I would encourage you, if you have memories of things you wish you would have changed, and maybe you're not so certain, that it ended well. We cannot change what was, but we have every ability to change what is currently unfolding. And I would encourage you that if you find yourself in that second camp, don't waste the moments you have today. And this isn't me speaking at you. This is me offering you my insights. And when I find there's something I can't take back or change, what I realize is I can't take back what was, but nothing can stop me from changing how I move from this day forward. So that's no takebacks. The third thing I learned is fear costs. Oh, this one was another tough one. After my mom passed, when I was younger, a story for a different time, but my mom was hit by a car. And at one point, it was very evident we weren't going to be able to live on our own. So we ended up moving with my grandpa, my grandma, and my uncle. And they were the next closest people to me in my life. And after my mom passed, I looked at the situation and I was afraid of losing all three of them for a variety of reasons. This is why I say fear costs. My fear was that I would lose them sequentially after the fact, that I would lose one, then another, then another. And my heart couldn't imagine the loss. So what I did for the next 10 years, I avoided them. I hid from them. I didn't go around. You know what I lost? Those 10 years. It wasn't long after that my grandma ended up passing away. And then my grandpa. And then my uncle moved to a different country. And the thing I was afraid of losing, my fear created the circumstances that caused it to unfold. So again, there's things we can't take back and there's things we can't change. But we can change how we move forward. And for me, after that moment, I became aware that if I'm not careful, I will allow fear to dictate how I move. And I need to press in sometimes to uncover what that fear is actually trying to say to me. There's more about that in future episodes that I have to share. But for now, I would just encourage you. Fear costs. If it's saying you're in jeopardy of something, investigate it. And you'll often find that what it's making you afraid will happen. It's leading you down the path where that is the obvious outcome that does occur. Don't believe the lie of fear. That's fear cost. The next lesson I learned, kids spell love, T-I-M-E. When I was a kid, and this is a fond memory, this is one of those things where I hold on to. I actually wrote a song at one point, and the song is called Through the Mourning, and it was about the loss of my mom. In the song, I say we try to cling to the good memories and let go of the sad. And one of the good memories I have with my mom, it was probably fifth, sixth grade. Is probably what it was. School was getting out, sun was out, and I used to have a tree that I loved to climb to the top of. It wasn't a very big tree, but it wasn't small either. It was probably 25 feet. And I'd go to the top of the tree and just look out at the view. And I'd ponder life, knowing I was in a place that few people could reach. But my mom would sit on the porch. And even though she wasn't having the experience I was having, she was always willing to listen and just talk with me, to give me her time. And now, all these years later, even though she's no longer here, those moments still speak to me. They still encourage me. They still instruct me, slow down for your kids. They still tell me it's worth taking the time, because you never know when a memory is being formed. But having memories that your kids will fondly recall is worth so much more than you know. So, and kids, they spell love T-I-M-E. I know it's cliche, but the reason it's cliche is because the cliche is something that held merit, that often gets oversaturated with the number of times it's quoted till it loses its effect. The reality is there's an essential truth in there. Kids need attention. And when you give them yours, even after you're gone, that attention will hold theirs in the way they think of you and the way they remember you. And more so in the way they're able to move forward because they'll know they're loved. And number 5, words echo through time. One of the hardest things I experienced after my mom passed is she loved kids. She absolutely loved kids. And she was never able to meet any of my children. And I so wanted my children to know who she was. She had such a heart for kids. Every kid in the neighborhood knew she saw them not as their reputation was, but as the potential they held in their heart. It's almost like my mom, again, in the song I wrote, I said, she always had a sad, cold look in her eyes. I remember wondering what trapped the tears inside. And I think she didn't know how much she was worth for at least a season of her life. And she knew it cost her dearly. And she didn't want anyone else to find themselves with the doubts she held and the struggles she faced. And I just wanted my kids to know someone who could make them feel so special. And it wasn't until I realized that even though she was gone, the things she sowed into me, the things she taught me how to spend time, the importance of affirming with love and saying I love you a million times. I just told my son I love you the other day, and I said, I love you, son. You know that? And he goes, I know. And I go, how do you know? And he goes, because you tell me all the time, Dad. And I just smiled because I knew that's not from me. That's a remnant of my mom's love living on through me. And it makes me smile knowing that not only will my kids carry that tradition with their kids, that their kids will carry it into their generation with their children, and the next generation with their children. And someday, long after Patricia Lee Clapp's name is remembered, her legacy will live on through the ripple effect of love. Words echo through time. It's been nearly 20 years. In fact, this month, it'll be 20 years since my mom passed. And it's not been easy. It never gets lighter, but we do get better at carrying it. Eventually, that dark cloud that feels like it's choking us begins to give way, and the light of the memory of the one we loved begins to show us a way forward. For me, it looked like the ways that I'm able to carry the legacy on and love on my kids. I don't know what it is for you, but if you've lost someone you love and their life still speaks in and through you, please comment below what that legacy is and how it's living on through you. Thank you so much for spending the time and listening to the video. Hope you'll stick around. There's a lot more content coming. I appreciate your time, and God bless. Because life is tough. It's hard.
Talk about why you need to date her like she's not yours. 4 reasons you'll be glad you did. The first lesson on the list is cutie or duty. The mistake I made, see, my wife has always had a dream of being a mom. So I thought the best thing I could do was make sure I was making memories as a family.